initial external examination of the body, I could tell that the left femur was significantly fractured. There was bleeding in the abdominal area, or bruising in the abdominal area, and a severe fracture of the back of the head, the occipital lobe to be in particular.
And after this external examination, did you perform an internal analysis as well?
Of course, it's a routine part of an autopsy.
And what did you find?
I found that there was severe bleeding in the abdominal area, and
Excuse me, Your Honor. I can't see when she's
Sorry.
there was severe bleeding in the abdominal area, and upon examining it more closely, I realized there was a severe laceration in the liver, as well as the abdominal cavity was severely flattened, fairly consistent with vehicular accidents.
And did you, after this point, did you perform analysis upon any other areas of the body?
Yes, I moved up into the rib area of the body, which unfortunately is not on this demonstrative, but I noticed that the xiphoid process, which is at the bottom of the sternum, was dislodged and had punctured the left lung, as well as the lower 3 ribs were broken.
And beyond this, were there any other areas that kind of sort of caught your attention?
Oh, the back of the head was the main area of injury, and I noticed that there was severe fragmentation to the back of the head, most consistent with the severe blow to the back of the head.
And what, in your medical opinion, do you believe caused this severe blow?
More than likely it was vehicular collision.
And you believe this vehicular...
Objection, Your Honor.
Sorry.
She lacks personal knowledge to be able to make that assumption that it was vehicular collision. They've laid foundation for her to be a medical examiner, but to say, so I'm not objecting the fact that if she would have said blunt force trauma to the back of the head caused the damage, but she's now saying vehicular collision, which is the job of a forensic reconstructionist.
In her daily work, she does examine many cases of death. I could lay more foundation about that if you'd like.
You might ask her the question as to how she makes a distinction between a vehicular collision damage and a blunt trauma damage, so that we know for sure that she can make that distinction.
I'll do that. Now,
So I'll sustain the objection subject to him asking this new question.
Now, this head injury that you described earlier, you mentioned that it was a trauma of some sort. What distinctions could you draw between this particular one and others that may exist that you've seen in the past?
Due to the injury to the rest of the body, the injury to the rest of the body is consistent with my findings that it was caused by a vehicle.
And do you believe this to be the cause of death of Derek Smith?
Yes, I do. I believe the injury to the back of the head is the
Objection.
cause.
I would renew my objection, Your Honor.
I'll permit the answer to stand because really the answer as she has given it is that she was not able to determine that the trauma to the head was due to a vehicular impact. She based that on a conclusion from other trauma on the body. I picked that up, so I would say in some sense it served your purpose. So I will let that answer stand and you may proceed.
I have no further questions.
Any cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor. Good evening, Dr. Rocker. My name is Kenneth Bauer. I'll be asking you just a few questions. Dr. Rocker, was it in your final conclusions that the damage to the occipital lobe was the most evident cause of Derek Smith's death?
Yes, it was.
In your autopsy report, did you conclude that it was impossible to determine the sequence of events, referring to which injuries happened first, the abdominal injuries or the damage to the occipital lobe?
Yes, I did. That is correct.
And didn't you also conclude in your autopsy report that the damages could have happened from that it was impossible to determine how the damages happened, and they could have come from unknown ideologies?
That is true, yes.
So basically you can't determine with any certainty what caused the damages to the body, correct?
Not with complete certainty, no.
Dr. Rocker, is it in your normal course of duties to do a blood test on the deceased?
Yes, it is.
Did you in fact do this test on Derek Smith?
Yes, I ran blood and toxicology tests on the victim.
Would you please tell the court what the results of your toxicology test were?
I found a type of medicine, Zolantrin, that is it's an anti-seizure medicine. in the blood of the victim.
Did this pique your curiosity to investigate further?
Yes, it did.
Did you in fact investigate further?
Yes, I requested the medical files of the young victim.
Dr. Rocker, would you please tell the court, did you in fact receive those medical records?
Yes, I did.
Included with those medical records, was there a letter addressed to you from Derek Smith's lifelong pediatrician, Dr. Barnes?
Yes.
I would object to this being hearsay evidence of a secondary nature.
Well, not quite yet, because the only question before this witness is whether she got the letter, not the content of the letter, so she can answer this, and you may renew your objection when she gets into the content. You may answer the question as to whether you received such a letter or not.
Yes, yes, I did receive the letter.
Did that letter contain any information which you took into consideration?
I would renew that objection.
I haven't asked.
Again, it's a little premature. She can answer this question yes or no, so I'll let you answer the question as to whether you took that information in that letter into consideration in making your analysis as a yes or no to that question
Yes, there was information in there.
that you took into consideration.
Yes.
Okay.
And that was there was quite a bit of different kind of conversation there. And that was in order to reach your final conclusions. Is that correct?
Yes.
So when you made your final conclusions, isn't it true that some of the information was, and this contained in this document, was underlying in your mind?
It was underlying, but my findings stayed the same.
Your Honor, permission to approach witness.
You may.
Do you recognize this letter?
Yes, I do.
What do you recognize? Would you please tell the court what you recognize this letter to be?
That's the letter that I received from Dr. Barnes.
Please let the record show that the witness has identified the document. I would like to move this.
Has it been marked as a
Yes.
defense?
It's Defense Exhibit C. I would now move to enter this into evidence at this time. Dr. Rocker, did Dr. Barnes instruct you or inform you via the letter that young Derek Smith did in fact suffer from epilepsy?
Yes.
And did he instruct you, did he inform you that at the time of Derek's death, he was let me get the exact term. One moment, Your Honor. Readjusting Derek's seizure medication levels?
Yes, there's phenylation in the bloodstream.
And isn't it possible, didn't he instruct you that as his lifelong pediatrician, Derek Smith was more likely to be suffering seizures during this time of inconsistent medications?
That's true.
Didn't Dr. Barnes inform you that he had instructed the parents of Derek Smith, that Derek should be wearing a protective headgear helmet at all times?
That's true, but I have no control over whether the parents did or not.
I'm not saying you did, Doctor. And this, in your medical opinion, isn't headgear of this nature to prevent severe brain damage and skull damage in case of a grand mal seizure?
Of course, yes.
Doctor, did you inventory the belongings of Derek Smith when he arrived at your office?
I would object to the relevancy of this question.
The relevancy of inventorying the victims.
She just stated that she did in fact learn that Dr. Barnes had instructed the parents to have a protective head helmet on the deceased at all times. I was asking her if she was the person to inventory the items that were
I
on.
understand where you're going. I'll overrule the objection. She may answer.
I'm sorry, could you please repeat the question?
Absolutely, Doctor. Would it be in your normal course of duty to inventory the belongings of an individual that are on them when their body arrives at your office?
Yes, it is. To examine the clothing, yes.
Would you please tell the court, was the protective headgear that the lifelong pediatrician of the deceased, that the lifelong pediatrician of the deceased had prescribed, was that among the items that was on the deceased at the time?
No, it wasn't.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Are you correct?
Yes. Now, earlier the defense asked you about the damage to the occipital lobe. Now, could you please reiterate what you believe this to have been caused by?
A blunt force.
Excuse me, Your Honor. Could you not block the witness?
Sorry. You can go with that.
Would you you repeat the question and answer, because I was just...
Can I start?
Yeah, that's
Oh, sure. Could you please describe again what you believe caused the damage to the occipital lobe?
A blunt force.
And also, now, Dr. Barnes, the letter that you received from him, he did inform you that the epilepsy did exist within the decedent, correct?
Yes.
But, however, you don't believe this to have been a contributing cause in the death of the patient?
No, I don't believe it to be the direct cause, no.
And what was the direct cause? You feel?
Vehicular collision, in my expert medical opinion.
I have no further questions.
Repress.
Doctor, did you just, for the court, did you just say that the cause of death, the direct cause of death that he asked about, was a vehicular collision?
I believe that's the cause of the damage to the back of the head, yes.
Was it your testimony earlier that you said that the injuries happened were caused by unknown ideologies?
I said it, yes, I did.
Doctor, isn't that inconsistent with what you just said when he asked you if you could pinpoint the direct cause of the damage?
I can't pinpoint it directly, I can only give my medical opinion.
I'll repeat the question. Isn't that inconsistent with what you said when he asked you if he could pinpoint the direct cause of the damage to the occipital lobe?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.